informal meeting of the Richmond City Council will now come to order. Madam Clerk, if you will proceed with the call to order in this moment, and then the emergency evacuation announcement, followed by the roll call, and then the docket review.
Upon activation of the emergency alarm signal, all persons should immediately exit the building. Please use the exits to the left or right front of the council chamber or the east or west stairwell outside the rear doors of the chamber. Do not use elevators or escalators. After exiting the building, proceed down 9th Street and enter the assembly area located in the former public safety building parking lot. Able persons should assist visually and hearing impaired visitors with exiting the building. And Madam President, for the record, all members are in attendance this evening with the exception of Councilors Jones, Robertson, and Auerbacher. You do have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed with the docket review.
Starting with the consent agenda, item number 1, ordinance 2025-014. Planning Commission recommended a continuance, so this item is to be continued to March 24. Item 2, ordinance 2025-025. Planning Commission also recommended a continuance. However, this paper will be continued to the April 14th council meeting. Item 3, resolution 2024-R040. Land Use Housing Transportation Standing Committee recommended approval. This paper was amended at the February 10th meeting and is currently being retained on this evening's consent agenda. And the last item on this evening's docket is item number 4, resolution 2025-R010. Organization Development Standing Committee recommended a continuance, so this item will be continued to the April 14th council meeting. And Madam President, those are all the items on this evening's docket.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed to the presentations.
The first presentation is the J. Sargent Reynolds Community College Annual Update.
Welcome, Dr. Pando.
Is it an evening or late afternoon? Greetings, no matter what time of day it is. So pleased to be here with you all this evening and share some of the work that your community college has been engaged in and leading within the Commonwealth. We're exceptionally proud of the work that we're doing. I want to begin by recognizing and thanking the college board members who are representatives or who represent the city of Richmond. 3 of them are here this evening, and I think we're pulling them up although they really don't need an introduction. Can I advance now? There we go. There. Oop. Let's go back. Okay. And in the audience today is Dr. Brenda Drew, Kathy Graziano, and Paul Logan. Thank you for your advocacy, not just serving as ambassadors to and from the college, but advocacy for the city of Richmond and its needs. They are always top of mind, our beautiful city, and they're vocal about the needs of the city and how our college can assist in that. I want to share with you that our enrollment is booming. In fact, we're outpacing every single one of our peers in our system at double-digit paces. This is important work that we're doing because it's not just about enrolling new students, it's about the very intentional work on student retention and completion. We don't want to brag on enrollment if it's a revolving door. More students are staying, more students are completing their program. And you can see our 15% increase in full-time equivalency and an 11% increase in the number of persons attending Reynolds Community College. And this is just on the credit side. An additional hundreds of students accessing our programs through our short-term credentialing programs. Many of you know them as CCWA, the Community College Workforce Alliance. Sometimes folks forget that Community College Workforce Alliance is our workforce arm at Reynolds. I wanted to bring your attention, as is probably no surprise to you, the largest increase in terms of demography or group of people is in our English as a second language population. In fact, we're the best beneficiary of several significant grants, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to add additional faculty and support services for our booming ESL population. And we can certainly see reflected in the changes in our community. We're seeing those changes reflected in the students that we're enrolling. This summer, we capped off an incredibly successful summer bridge program made up primarily of City of Richmond high school students looking for kind of a leg up in college. All 40 plus students completed their summer bridge program. More importantly, every single one of them enrolled at Reynolds Community College in the fall. So this group of students, again, some of them were identified as perhaps under-resourced schools, first generation that might need additional supports. All of the students completed the program. All of the students are enrolled in college. We're incredibly proud of that. As I mentioned earlier, it's our retention rates that are trending up, and they're trending up and highest since 2017. Indeed, we are back and have exceeded our pre-pandemic numbers when we were already on the rise after a period of significant decline. Retention is the most difficult and the most important needle to move. We're also seeing a significant rise in the number of credentials awarded. You can see 814 graduates awarded 890 credentials. So students are completing multiple credentials within their program. Just 1 year later, that's 869 students completing almost 1,200 credentials. And that's an increase of 34% in just 1 year in students completing credentials. And again, that's really the result of highly, highly focused work in that getting students on a path early, providing the supports they need to continue on their program and complete what they started in a timely period. I wanted to share with you, we talked last year about the grand opening of our automotive program. Well, just this year, that program achieved the highest level of accreditation that exists in automotive technology, and that is the Toyota T10 Lexus accreditation. Incredibly proud of that. It is the most rigorous program and the hardest accreditation to get. So it wasn't just about opening a building, but ensuring that what we're offering the inside that building leads to top-notch credentials for our students. And what's unique about this program is that students are working in a Toyota dealership 3 days a week, earning a handsome salary. They're in our lab 3 days a week. They must remain employed while they're our students. Most of them are paying $0. Most of them are accessing G3 program dollars, and those who do not qualify for G3 are accessing scholarships by Toyota. So I would say probably 99, if not 100% of the students enrolled in this program, earning while they're learning, will complete a credential at zero cost with a uniform and a toolkit ready to go for their first day of work, and ready to work on their first day on the job full time because they've had that experience in the 2-year program. And that program has been highlighted certainly in the Richmond Times-Dispatch about tech behind the wheel. We know that automotive programs are very different than what they might have been 20 years ago. It's technology, sensors, et cetera. And again, we're incredibly happy that that program is being covered as it is, but it's being covered because it truly is an outstanding program. And other community colleges in Virginia are taking a look at what it is that we have to offer. We are incredibly proud of our pass rate on our NCLEX. As you know, a person can graduate with their associate degree in nursing. That does not make them a nurse unless they pass their boards. And we are now at 3 of the last 4 semesters, 100% pass rate on those boards. And I wish I could say it was 4 out of 4. That's a pretty remarkable figure. But the 1 year where it wasn't 100%, it's because one student waited to take his boards a full 3 or 4 months after graduating the program. We really encourage them to take their boards as soon as they're done, so it's all fresh. So it's almost 100% for 4 cohorts, but that again speaks to the quality of our program and the preparation, and that is a national exam that we do not administer. Also here, right here in the city of Richmond, again, we continue to invest downtown. We are offering clinical medical assistant, phlebotomy technician, EKG, and nurse aid. Those are programs offered outside of the credit side. These are short-term credentialing programs that then stack into a degree program should a student want to continue. So if you are a nurse aide, there is a path for you to the RN program. If you're a clinical medical assistant, there's a pathway for you to our health sciences degree and so forth. We know that some students just need to get the job, and they can't think of the full degree because right now they need to get to work, and we offer these programs right here at our downtown campus. Also, skilled trades at our downtown campus. A year and a half ago, if you wanted to do a skilled trades program through our non-credit training, you had to drive down to Chester. So you had to have reliable transportation, the money for gas, and the time to be able to spend 30, 40 minutes on the road each way to access. That is now all offered at our downtown campus: electrical, HVAC, plumbing, even a plumbing apprenticeship in Spanish. And again, when you see the rise of that ESL population, you'll understand why we're offering apprenticeship programs in other languages. We're also taking our show on the road. We know that some folks simply cannot get to any of our campuses. And in partnership with Bright Point Community College, we actually have a mobile flex lab. So we are taking instruction, short-term credentialing to communities that may not be able to access our campuses. So we're on the road as well. We just opened this fall our surgical technology program in recognition that there is a desperate need in hospitals for surgical technicians. If you've had to have a procedure, you know that for many hospitals, they're scheduling 6 months out instead of 2 months out because they do not have, it's not the physician or the surgeon, they don't have the surgical technicians who are charged with preparing the operating room, ensuring the instruments are clean, that it's a sanitized work area, and that the operating room is prepared for every patient getting a procedure. We have a full cohort that began this fall and another full cohort that just began this spring. Actually, Senator came to visit that center, our surgical technician lab, over the course of the summer. Really impressed that the quality facilities, again, all located right here in Richmond at our downtown campus. Last week at our downtown campus, we opened up our Career Connect Center that not just works with students who are on the credit side looking to earn a degree and start planning their career, but also people looking for work-based learning opportunities, network to work, working adults who are looking to find a career pathway, what's available to them, support services available to students so that they can continue on their career path. Clarify, we just opened last week. We invite you to come visit us. Cheryl Garland from VCU Health was one of our employer partners who spoke at that event, a great employer partner, and we've got many, and that list continues to grow of people who want to hire people locally, and Reynolds Community College has become the venue where they can help find where they can find that talent. You might have read in the news our horticulture program. This is only one of, I believe, 3 in the nation where our horticulture program will be moving to the Lewis Ginter Botanical Gardens. That will be, if you can imagine, the labs that our students will have access to. As you know, Lewis Ginter is consistently rated in the top 5 botanical gardens in the nation, and working with Dr. Brian Trader, who is the president and CEO of Lewis Ginter, he wanted to replicate a program from the garden that he came from outside of Philadelphia, Longwood Gardens. And it was at Longwood Gardens that they partnered with their community college to create horticulturists of the future. And we're replicating that program right here in the Richmond MSA. That MOU was signed, and we have teams working together to launch this fall the grand opening of Reynolds at Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden. And they're helping us revisit the curriculum to ensure that it's future focused and not old timey. A little bit about Richmond public school students. We have not just Richmond public schools, but over 1,400 people from the city of Richmond are attending Reynolds Community College. The biggest jump in that is first-generation students, the first in their family. So nearly 60% of those individuals who have enrolled at Reynolds Community College are the first in their family to go to college. A big chunk, you can see 44% of them are adult learners, meaning non-traditional college age, and 40% of those students are awarded Pell Grants. Early College Academy, that's the students who are actually coming to our campus in a cohort preparing to finish an associate degree while they're in high school. Currently, there are 69 students from City of Richmond. We bus them to our downtown campus, understanding there's a challenge with having credentialed teachers at each individual high school who qualify to teach a dual enrollment college course, and that is through our accreditors. That's not the college making judgment on whether someone is appropriately trained or not. There are certain credentials. Teachers must have a graduate degree and a postmaster's certain number of credits that would qualify and credential them to teach a college level course in high school. And so what we do is we bring them to the college and our faculty teach those courses. Those 69 students are on track to graduate from college 2 weeks before they graduate from high school. And an additional 87 students in City of Richmond are enrolled in dual enrollment courses outside of the Early College Academy. These are students at their high schools availing themselves 1 or 2 college level classes that will count should they wish to continue at Reynolds or graduate from high school and go to William and Mary, UVA, VCU. Those credits are portable and they take those credits. And typically students will take between 15 and 30, which is half of an associate's degree. Those are the students in our dual enrollment programs outside of the academy model. Not everyone can do the full associate degree while in high school. We have thus far 176 students who have graduated from the Early College Academy since the start of the program. And those students you see up there are our City of Richmond students. An additional, as I mentioned, our enrollment is over 1,400 people from Richmond are attending Reynolds. An additional 424 Richmond residents are taking a workforce training class. And that's a significant increase of 11% over the previous year. And I think, again, proximity matters, location matters. And when we're offering these programs right here in town, we're seeing students avail themselves of these programs. And these workforce training classes typically are people in their 30s, in their 40s, a couple in their late 20s. These are not traditionally aged people, but just looking to get a credential. Commercial driver's license continues to be one of those top programs that pay a living wage, and that's what we're constantly looking at. What we offer, does it lead to a living wage? And if not in the first or second year, what is that trajectory 5 years out? And we take with great pride a desire not to graduate students into poverty. Richmond City students, this year we awarded over $3 million in scholarships and financial aid to City of Richmond students. Again, this is outside of our non-credit programming. This is just on the credit side of the house, and that number continues to rise each year with more students attending the college from City of Richmond and more scholarships being made available specifically for our city residents. And as you can see in this picture, this is, I call this our impact picture. These are not models. These are not people putting on a costume. These are students dressed in their gear for their careers and professions. And you can see that we are developing the talent in the sciences, in healthcare, in skilled trades, in culinary arts. You can see students with their VCU-bound shirts, their transfer students looking to get their first 2 years of general education, an associate's degree, so they can transfer and save $40,000, $50,000 in pursuit pursuit of a baccalaureate degree. This is the talent we produce. This is the talent that stays in our region. This is the talent that powers our workforce. It's the talent that our employers need in order to grow and thrive. And this is what your community college, this is at the core of our mission, ensuring that people who live in our service region have access to high quality programs that lead to real opportunities right here in the region. And this is just a sampling. EMS, welders, electricians, biotechnologists, respiratory therapists. This is the talent output that your community college puts out every single year. With that, I will thank you for your support. It has been incredible support. I'm grateful to all of you, to the city for the support you provide Reynolds Community College. We hope that we make you proud. We hope that you'll know that an investment in Reynolds is an investment in our very community. And with that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I'm pretty confident there'll be questions or comments. You thanked us, but I want to say thank you to you on behalf of the youth and adults in our city and in our region. Your visionary leadership, your strategic intentionality in terms of the types of programs and resources that you make available to the individuals who come into Reynolds. I mean, the focus, yes, you're recruiting, yes, and retention is important, but also the supportive components to ensure that it gets folks on a path to just gainful employment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is what I'd like to say. And to your board members who are supported in that regard and staff, it is just extraordinary. I can't even name the number of things from dual enrollment to workforce to the mobile component, on and on. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a mantra: students can't learn if they're hungry.
Thank you.
And they could have all kinds of hunger.
Greatly appreciated, greatly recognized, and look forward to even more to come. So thank you. Ms. Lynch?
Did I jump somebody in line? No? Okay. All right. I was an eager beaver on my button. I pushed it way earlier on. Again, thank you so much. Your contributions to the city are showing your numbers. I mean, that's what is so to see that, and then to know how many lives were changed is not only comforting, but it's a very bright spot in a dark world. So thank you for being our bright spot. So, with how successful your programs are, I seem to recall this was like, maybe some years ago when there were some changes in the RPS, how that process was for how students got to you basically from RPS. Do we need to do more? What could improve there? Do we need to do more kind of aggressive credentialing of those teachers? Like, why don't we have more students enrolled in JSARG? I mean, it's just it's the best thing we could do for them. Why aren't there more?
Well, we have over 1,400 students from Richmond enrolled at the college. That number, that 69, was just the students enrolled in that academy program, which is fairly intense and demands quite a bit from the students in that they're taking a full college curriculum their junior and senior year. And that's a lot. It's why we really push also dual enrollment outside of the academy, so students are earning those college level credits. Credentialing teachers is not just a challenge in Richmond, it's a challenge in our other school divisions of, again, we're accredited by SACCOC, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, Commission on Colleges and Schools. Their standards for credentialing, some would argue, are extraordinarily high and perhaps higher than other accrediting agencies. And so this isn't just a challenge in City of Richmond, but with the number of schools, it's hard then to just be able to localize. They're at Armstrong High School. We have a teacher, not only a teacher that's credentialed to teach a college level course, but we have enough student interest to make up a full course. So it's that what comes first, the chicken or the egg, is a challenge in all of our school divisions, including Goochland County, that has the largest college academy. We had to review credentials and say some teachers who have been teaching may no longer teach unless they pursue these many credits outside of the master's degree because of the stringent accreditation programs. I would love to work with RPS. We always had a good relationship with RPS. What challenges rise to the top in RPS? Is it teacher credentialing? Are there other programs? I can't speak to that, but I can speak to the desire, certainly from our board members who ask, why don't we have more students enrolled in college level classes at high school? But the teacher credentialing is a significant issue. It's the only program where the school division buses them to our college. So they go from all of the different high schools to make up that cohort. Yeah. So for example, Henrico, they have 2 high schools. They have their teachers. The students never leave. It's part of their school day. They have an ample number of credentialed teachers who want to participate in the early college programs. But with Richmond, we bus the students from the individual high schools to make up a cohort large enough to ensure that we have classes, and they're taught by our faculty.
Yeah, I mean, because I gotta say, I'm not even sure, Madam President, that we're, pushing, are we pushing, look at my school board member, because, I mean, is that pushed as, do you think we highlight that program enough? I can't say from the Richmond High School, from the arts, and knowing what kind of just knowing, Bulldog Academy and some of my baseline knowledge of what's pushed out to the students, that we're doing enough to really, like, educate our own students about what their options are. That is literally the number one best intervention that we can do for our high school students who are preparing, because that is direct workforce development and placement to ensure that they have economic stability and or that they have a jump start when they go into to higher education, if that's what they choose to do. It's the best thing we can do for them. Why aren't we pushing it more? And why aren't we holding, putting some key metrics in place for the schools to say, hey, let's up the number of teachers that are getting credentialed. Let's up the number of students that are getting educated about this program and make sure we have higher. What's Henrico at? How many students?
Henrico has 2 full high schools. I'd have to look at my notes, but
like as in hundreds of students?
Yeah.
We can do better.
That's certainly a conversation for follow-up. I suspect EHS, RPS, more to come. Councilmember Gibson?
Thank you. Thank you for coming. This is wonderful. I agree, lots of good news and appreciated. Regarding Councilmember Lynch's question regarding the ECA program, I can only say anecdotally that I know that transportation has been a challenge for the district. And so if there are courses that have to happen in both places, it can be challenging to have the students transported and then also receiving, the courses in some place and the other. So I know that's been one component of that. But I think in terms of awareness of the program, I think that has ebbed and flowed over time. But for the folks that I know that have had students that have participated in the program, I know it's been very well received. I wanted to ask a bit about, more post-graduation metrics that you may have. I'm particularly interested in understanding, how many students that graduate from the program or finish their certifications stay in Richmond. And then I have a couple of questions. One being, this is lots of great news, but I'm curious what challenges that the institution is facing, how the city can support those challenges, and likewise, I would be curious to know what are the challenges that you're hearing from students that are graduating from the program, and what are things that the city can be doing to support them as well?
Sure. Thank you for that question. I'll begin by saying that our localness is our greatest superpower. That is, and I would say that about every community college across the United States of America. For us, it is upwards of 85% of students who complete their credential with us live here, stay here, their families are here, their parents are here, their children are here. And why, again, that localness, we develop talent for local, for our employers, talent that goes on to earn a bachelor's, master's, and beyond. So that is upwards of 85% higher in some programs than others. But when we talk about our nursing programs, it's about 87% of the nurses we graduate work at HCA, VCU, Bon Secours, and so forth. And so we do track that, and our students do tend to stay here. Unlike students who perhaps are going to VCU, they might come from Northern Virginia and they complete their degree and they go back to Northern Virginia. That's home for them. For our students, this is home for them. I will share with you some of the struggles that we've had, and I've had these conversations offline, but why not do it for the record? Virginia's community colleges are the lowest funded higher education entity in the Commonwealth. To give you an idea of what that looks like, the University of Virginia at Wise, their state appropriation per full-time equivalent student is nearly $15,000. For Reynolds Community College, it's $4,000. And yet, we tend to educate those who have the highest need wraparound support services, are often the first in their family to attend college, and many of them are breaking cycles of poverty. Many of them, this is their best chance at an affordable education. They could go anywhere, but this is the right financial decision to make. And quite honestly, we take students where it's their last chance. You know, they've tried many things. Some have done time in prison. They've been incarcerated, and they're coming out and they're accessing a non-credit program. And we know that when a student can complete a credential coming out of the system, that is the best weapon against recidivism. And yet we are at the lowest funded entity in the Commonwealth. Add insult to injury that Virginia is in the bottom 23rd percentile for funding for community colleges in the nation, the bottom 23rd. And so those are significant headwinds for us in order to be able to scale those programs. I have 80 students in a cohort. We should have 200 students in a cohort. But running a nursing program is very different than a transfer program where a student is getting an associate degree in general studies and moving on to VCU. What it costs to get a student through that program, and what it costs to get a nurse with highly regulated labs, simulation equipment, consumables, clinical hours, placements, and how many students per instructor we can have. And so where the Commonwealth, where the region needs us to grow the most is where we have the heart to grow it, but we do not have the resources to do it. Now, we are scrappy. We hustle. And I know that's a dirty word these days, but I always say good things happen to those who hustle. And we move. But the reality is that in some programs, we have to fundraise. We have to go outside of the appropriation process to be able to scale programs. We are about to launch. We've not made a public announcement yet because we're in the feasibility stage, but a major capital campaign specific to healthcare in our downtown campus, because we need that talent desperately, but we can't do it based on how the General Assembly appropriates funds for community colleges. So it requires us to go, how many grants we've applied for. We've come here hat in hand, and you've been good to us. We are, applying to federal things and local philanthropic organizations. So I would say those are the biggest headwinds, because our students are coming in with more need than ever before. And the community college story has always been that students tend to come in with high need. Well, I will tell you, COVID just intensified that need. There is learning loss that occurred, not just at RPS, in Henrico, in Hanover, students coming in having lost 2 years, and we're going to see that for a decade. The second and third graders that are in fourth and fifth grade now who missed things, and fifth and sixth who are now seventh and eighth. So we anticipate seeing that. Mental health issues are off the charts. Our students tell us we do a welcome intake form. Their top concerns coming in, money is number one, being able to manage the course load is number two, and my mental health is number three. And so we know that it's not just about anyone coming in, okay, open your books to page 10. We're dealing with a lot of psychological, for some, experience hunger. Free and reduced lunch does not carry with you to college. And so if you were a high school student, free and reduced lunch or getting breakfast at school, that doesn't follow you to college. And so we open food pantries and partner with Feed More to ensure that students have what they need. I say the most complicated and most difficult thing they do with us should be the calculus test. That should be the difficult thing. So it's really anticipating where students are, what we need to do to wrap our arms around them, to love each and every one of them to success. But those are some significant headwinds that we're facing in terms of being able to grow and scale programs that we need, our Commonwealth and specifically the greater Richmond region needs us to grow. I don't know if that answers your question, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. That's a wonderful. That does really provide important context, and I think it's a true concern for our state. As we talk about jobs, we can't have those conversations. We're not investing in the institutions that provide our workforce. So I appreciate that context. The other question that I had asked was about students and when they graduate, are there challenges that you're hearing from them, whether it be finding employment that aligns with their studies or housing, or, you know, I'm just curious to know what you hear from folks and whether this is a city that, you know, has space for them to be able to stay.
So I would say the students that are most satisfied or in terms of their outcomes are the students who are in our career and technical programs, where they're walking out, many of them with a job interview or offer in hand. That is certainly the case across our healthcare programs. Our students are waiting to take their NCLEX. They've got 3 job offers. They've got offers at VCU Health. Again, respiratory, not just the nurse. We always go to nursing, but it's our respiratory therapists, it's our surgical technicians, it's our EMTs. They all have job offers ready to go, as do our students enrolled in skilled trades. We have a really hard time graduating welders. And the reason we have a hard time graduating welders is our industry is so desperate for a welder that they'll say, did they take MIG and TIG 1 and 2? Yes, they did. We'll teach them the rest. We need them. And they're, poaching from one another because there is such a need for welders. We built a brand new welding studio on the Parham Road campus, and that program is fully subscribed, and those students have job offers. I think the place where we have a great deal of work, and we're in the process right now of working with VCU, is ensuring that students who complete an associate's degree with us are completing their baccalaureate degree. We see a lot of students saying they want to transfer. How many of them actually graduate with the associate's degree? And those who then actually transfer with the associate's degree, how many are completing the baccalaureate degree? And what we've realized in conversations with good partners like VCU is that if students are not transferring in their program of study, so if I'm an engineering student at Reynolds and get my associate's degree in engineering and I get accepted to VCU, but just kind of your general admission, general studies program, it is not likely that student is going to persist. And so we're working on something called a dual admission program, where it's not a transfer program, where students will be dually admitted to Reynolds and VCU so that they are accepted in their program of study. So you finish as an engineer at Reynolds, you begin as a junior engineering student at VCU. And that requires a lot of work with our faculty working together to ensure the curriculum aligns and doing them first with our top programs. So that's where we notice it's like they did the hard stuff. We mitigated all of the challenges early on, the tutoring, the support, all of those things. They achieved the associate degree. They graduated with excellent grades. They got accepted into the senior institution. Why are only 40% of them graduating in 2 to 3 years? Doesn't mean they're all dropped out, but 2 to 3 years later, they still don't have a baccalaureate degree. So that's really intentional work that we're doing to ensure that we're fully delivering on that mission, that if we say direct transfer to the baccalaureate degree, that's indeed happening. And I believe that's possible through dual admission versus just a transfer agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to see you and have you make a presentation with us. It's always enlightening, and the energy that you brought to the table from day one is so encouraging to see the same level of energy, and you are consistently reevaluating, re-strategizing, reprogramming, and it is so obvious that it's always in the best interest of every student that comes knocking at your door. And I just want to thank you for your dedication, your commitment, but your extraordinary innovation and success in doing so. So question I want to follow up in regards to your statement you just made in regards to 4,000 versus 15. And so this is not a J. Sergeant Reynolds issue. This is a community college issue for the state of Virginia we'll just deal with.
Correct.
From a legislative perspective, how can and how should we be stronger partners in lobbying and providing a concerted, combined effort on behalf of the students in our region, in the state, but for the colleges themselves to bring about a more better understanding of the need for more equal funding, and certainly a pathway to getting us from where we are at 4 with a goal of getting to 15, which we may not do in as short a period of time as we'd like to. And it's amazing the work that you're doing, and the appreciation for that with 4,000 versus others at 15. How can we join hands and be a stronger force from a legislative perspective to convince the state that we're missing a significant opportunity by not funding this at a higher level?
Thank you. That's a great question. And I'm going to answer it in a way that doesn't get me in trouble, but I will do it honestly. A great challenge that we have as Reynolds Community College, and I suspect my colleague presidents across the Commonwealth would share that it's a challenge for them as well, is that the Virginia Community College system lobbies as one. So the General Assembly, their appropriation is not to Reynolds, it's not to Brightpoint, it's not to Northern Virginia Community College, it's to the Virginia Community College system. And there is a singular ask in the absence of a funding formula, which we do not have in Virginia. We do not have a funding formula for community colleges. We have an appropriation. So we could be way up high. It's an appropriation that happens, that's provided to the system. Here is where the challenge lies. And I understand our friends in the General Assembly who love our community colleges, but they can look and see the system is asking for $200 million to build out X many programs, et cetera. If colleges, and this is not Reynolds' story, have significant carry forward in their coffers, members of the General Assembly would say, well, why are you asking us for $200 million when I see you're sitting on $80 million? I'll make that figure up, though it's higher. That's not ours. That's carry forward from Northern Virginia Community College. It might be carry forward from the system. Now, some of that has been delays in construction and not being able to pay the bills. But when they're looking at that number, they're not thinking J-Sarge. They're looking at, why does the Virginia Community College system need this money when they're sitting on money? And we are not one of the institutions with healthy carry forward at all. We're in the hundreds of thousands range, and that's just because the bills have not hit our accountancy. So that's been the challenge, is working with our local or our elected leaders at the state level. They love what we do. They're what we're about, but they can't say, we want to carve out $30 million for Reynolds Community College to triple capacity, because that's not the way it goes. They fund the VCCS with their big legislative ask. And in that big ask, there could be a carve out of that $100 million. $8 million is going to Reynolds to triple nursing capacity, double CDL, and triple electricity. It's just one sum. It could be some of it, all of it. This year it was none of it. And so that's the challenge for me, candidly speaking, that I can, but I'm not permitted to lobby the General Assembly for the college. The rules say we lobby together as one system. And when that's the case, it becomes very difficult for friends of the college who love what we do to vote yes on hundreds of millions of dollars when what they're seeing is, but you're sitting on this month. They don't know it's NOVA. They don't know it because it's the VCCS. And we're one of the institutions in the Virginia Community College system. It may not make sense, but is my answer clear?
No, it doesn't make sense, but yes, it makes sense.
Yes.
I fully understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
And I also fully appreciate the lack of a method by which we have created to make a difference there. And I appreciate the fact that you, as far as your leveraging ability and lobbying and those kinds of things. So thank you, and I won't press in that area. However, as legislators, I do think that strategically, working with our legislators, perhaps we can tell the story in a way that would help us get a better, address the real need and not allow for us to be denied funding for some of the reasons that you have expressed so far. I will give you a call, and I'd love to come and visit the downtown campus and learn more by experience what's going on there. And so I hope to give you a call before the week is out. And thanks again
Absolutely.
for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Councilman Breton.
Thank you. I wanted to ask more about like funding and support, and just to better understand, and I apologize that this is a remedial question, but like all the levers of influence that I have for your success. So I imagine there's going to be a line item in my budget this year, probably. What fraction of your total budget do you get from us? And then what other decisions am I going to be making this year that are going to influence you? And how should I be thinking about that?
Sure. Well, great question. And I don't think it is a remedial one. I would think probably folks are like, yeah, how do we do that? So what we do with all of our localities is we request an appropriation from our localities based on the Weldon Cooper. It's much more accurate than the census in that it's taken, every, whatever it is, 5-10 years. So we use the Weldon Cooper numbers, and that's the number of people in the region, and then they run it through a mathematical formula. So any additional asks outside of that appropriation that City Council has approved, you've been good to us. Anything additional, I would come before the mayor's office so that we can then present it to City Council for approval. A most recent example of that was an incredibly generous appropriation of an additional $1 million last year to invest in creating a biotechnology program at the college. As you know, biotechnology and pharmaceutical manufacturing, it's like fire between Richmond and Petersburg, and those resources are helping to pay a third of what it costs to build out a biotechnology program. So it's a simple formula that all of the localities and the city that we use based on population. There's a formula they run through. It's standard every year. There are years where we have requested a percentage increase just because the cost of goods and services have gone up. Mandatory raises that we have to pay that are unfunded mandates. We all want our folks to get a raise, but they're not funded fully. 60% funded by the General Assembly, 40% we have to come up with that. And so when there is something additional, this is the body that I would come before and make that request and why it would be beneficial for. Does that make sense? Okay, sure.
Can I continue? Thank you. I was going to also ask, you mentioned retention rates being up. I mean, can you share what the retention rates are and how high is high enough? Because people presume possibly even taking out debt to go to school and not finish would be a major concern. So how do we truly measure the successful retention rate?
So what's interesting, so the Richmond Fed has taken it upon itself 5 years ago to talk about how the federal definition that was created for four-year institutions is the same measuring stick that community colleges have, and they absolutely make no sense. So for example, graduation rates are measured in this way across the country. It doesn't matter what kind of higher ed institution, whether you're a community college or a four-year, are measured in one way. First time in college, full time in college. They will take that cohort of students and track them over a 3-year period. And that is the graduation rate that is up on iPads, all publicly available. Nearly 70% of our students are part-time. And even those who are full-time, for many of them, it's not their first time in college. And so the vast majority of our students are not calculated into this frame that was created for the 4 years. So the Richmond Fed, to their credit, they have taken this on. Again, in the student success rate, non-credit. All of those credentials, the hundreds of credentials awarded last year, not counted. Doesn't exist in iPads unless it's in the 4-credit side. So when you think about it, 70% of the student population we enroll is not counted in those success rates. So we can say our 3-year completion rate is 30%. Most of our students are part-time. They're not going to finish until 6 years, but they're not counted anymore. So that's the flaw of the system. The greatest efforts and what we have resourced most at the college, which is why you're seeing the completion of credentials skyrocket, is in retention, is in what we call early momentum metrics. We know this, that if students take and pass a college level math class in their first year, if they take and pass a college level English class in their first year, and they earn 24 college level credits in a full year, that's fall, spring, and summer, they are 3 times more likely to earn their degree or credential. So that's been where our most focused work in the last 2 years have been, knowing the things they must do early on, because if they put that off, you'll see students with 30, 40, 50 credits and didn't take their college math class, and they're afraid of taking that class. They can't earn the degree, and they'll go before taking that class.
So, would I be able to ask you to like just whatever your metric of success is? It's not the 4-year, full-time thing. It's something else. I mean, if you're tracking that, could you provide that to us so we can, track your success with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in fact, what I'll share with you, if this is something that you're interested in, the Fed actually did that report on our college. So we were one of the first colleges to participate in this study, and provide you with what the federal definition is, but what through the Richmond Fed are. I'll happy to provide you with that.
That
We
would
just
be
received that
great.
on Friday.
Cool. And this last one
Thank
was really
you.
short. I was going to ask if I could ask if your apprentice programs and your tech trade programs, are any of them, do you have any relationship with local trade unions that help facilitate that, or is this a totally independent from them?
We have apprenticeship programs. So there, again, we have the plumbing program, apprenticeship in Spanish. We tend to work more closely with employers than the unions.
Okay.
Yeah. They tend to work more closely with ABC.
I see.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you, Dr. Pando, and look forward to the additional information that you will share. Again, really greatly appreciate the contribution overall.
Thank you
that
very
you've
much.
made.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Madam Clerk, if you would, the next presentation.
The next presentation is the paving plan. Mr. Vincent.
Welcome, Mr. Vincent.
Good afternoon, Madam President. Good afternoon, Council. Bobby Vincent, Director of Public Works, here today to present to you our 2026 paving program, along with some other infrastructure items. Let's see here. I always like to start off our presentations with a little bit of information pertaining to the city. As most of you all know, 62 and a half square miles, but we do have 1,800 lane miles of asphalt in the city that we're paid for by VDOT. We actually have over 2,600 lane miles. Throughout the city of Richmond, we have over 870 lane miles of sidewalk, 200 miles of alleys, 120,000 tree locations, 84 bridge structures, and over 42,000 streetlights that we maintain citywide. Looking at the structure of the department. Our mission is to provide a clean, safe, and healthy environment. We're responsible for bridge maintenance, capital projects, facilities management, grounds maintenance, paving infrastructure, right-of-way and roadway, solid waste, street cleaning, street lighting, traffic engineering, as well as urban forestry. Looking at the city of Richmond and why oftentimes scars exist within our public right-of-way. This is just an example of a diagram of what's underneath our streets in our city. We have several manholes, several lines of utilities, everything from gas, water, stormwater, sanitary sewer underneath our streets, along with various conduits from Dominion Power, as well as low voltage communications lines. As you can see, when we have to dig up our streets, we have to do this within the street, not back up in the grass area where many of the suburban streets, and that's how they are in fact designed versus those of the inner cities. Looking at one of our most productive budget line items over the years, Complete Streets budget. Right now it's $21 million, where we take care of paving projects as well as sidewalks, roughly $15 million in paving, $1.5 million in various traffic engineering projects, about $3 million in various CIP projects, as well as another $1.5 million in operations with regards to sidewalk maintenance and CIP investments. Looking at how we've been investing those dollars over the years, many of you all were here back in 2018 when you could take a dot and throw it at the map, and where it landed was a good place for a paving project. Our streets at that point in time, we had 35% of our streets being good or better. The PCI, which stands for the Pavement Condition Index, was rated at that point in time with the same company that's utilized by VDOT, because VDOT is where we get a large amount of funding. So we didn't want it to be any type of discrepancies with regards to how our streets were rated. Looking at where we are today after investing about $20 million a year, right now we're at 75% of our streets being good or better. Many of you all's council districts have increased tremendously over the past several years. We still are not perfect. I don't think we will ever get to 100%, but we're certainly putting our best foot forward to eliminate potholes as much as we can and to make our streets as smooth and as safe as possible. Looking at the methodologies that we use milling and overlaying, which right now is about $19 to $23 per square foot. That's about a 20% increase from fiscal year 24. Looking at heat scarification, where we actually melt the existing asphalt, rejuvenate it with oil treatment, and then we relay that same asphalt back down on the streets. We're able to do that for about $10 to $12 per square yard, which is about a 20%, once again, increase from fiscal year 24. Everything is going up right now, inclusive of our contracts, and paving and concrete is no difference. Looking at the fiscal year 26 paving program, is still a program in motion. Right now, out of the 15 million, we have about 12 million that is allocated. At this point in time, we still have about 3 million left to go. Many of you all may know, and for those of you all who do not know, we do not pave the city based upon council districts. We do not give everybody 11% every year. If I did that, I would not be doing my job. We've been paving, and everybody has been seeing love with regards to paving, every neighborhood throughout the entire city. But we do that by coordinating our paving efforts with the Department of Public Utilities, as well as with Dominion Power, with VCU, and with economic development opportunities throughout our city of Richmond. So looking at the fiscal year 25 paving program, we spent roughly $16.5 million. And just as an example of that, looking at the third district, where we paved 18.9 lane miles that particular year, which is just over 10% of the budget. That was 80, and now they have an 85% PCI rating. As of right now, the third district will have paving in it, but right now there's no forecast programs until we finish working with the Department of Public Utilities with regards to their scheduled work. Looking at fiscal year 25 remaining projects that's still on the books that we're working on actively: Hall Street Road, Richmond Highway, South Garden area, North Barton Heights, Oregon Hill, Westbrook Avenue, Union Hill, as well as 18th Street and Oliver Hill Way. Looking at some of our citywide traffic calming initiatives, you all have been asking us to be able to help to slow down traffic, and we've been doing just that. We have over 386 speed tables that are in fact located throughout the city of Richmond, and we're still moving swiftly with regards to installing more. In terms of working with DPW, in terms of DPW working with the Safe Routes to Schools, we're investing $80,000 this year, with 10 approved locations to be installed this spring and summer. Looking at neighborhood speed table installations, we have 12 locations approved to be installed this spring and summer. And last but not least, looking at a city council amendment for the 5th district traffic calming, we have 12 of those locations that have in fact been approved and are scheduled for installation this spring and or summer. Looking at how we're also utilizing our paving dollars this year, Hall Street will be paved in between Coorden and near Southside Plaza. What we're doing in addition to paving that is we're also going to do traffic calming with that. We're also going to do traffic calming measures along Forest Hill as well, but I wanted to put this diagram up just to show you about Hall Street. We're going to put place parking on Hall Street along with a turning lane in the middle, and then that way we will be reducing the travel lanes from 4 travel lanes down to 2, 1 in each direction. This should help us with a combination of traffic calming as well as providing pedestrians more opportunity to cross the street, as well as provide parking for current as well as future merchants that decide to place their businesses on this particular section of Hall Street. Looking at the high injury network throughout the city of Richmond, looking at VDOT data from 2015 to 2023, there was 39,000 accidents, 1,500 of them severe injuries, and 146 fatalities. As you can see, the vast majority of this took place on the high injury network. When we do work on the high injury network, many of us and many of our citizens have been asking for additional work to be done within the communities. I certainly understand that. I don't want to see anybody drive down my street any faster than they need to be driving when the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. But we must focus on the high injury network because this is where the severe injuries and the deaths are in fact occurring. Looking at the Carytown area, where we had a total of 693 accidents during that time period, we had one fatality that took place on Arthur Ashe Boulevard, and 90% of those accidents occurred in the area of Curry Street Road itself, not within the actual neighborhoods. Looking at the 9th District, we had 3,300 accidents, 21 fatalities, 153 of them with regards to severe injuries. As you can see by the mass correlation of dots, it took place on the high injury network and not necessarily located within neighborhoods. So what are we doing with regards to the neighborhoods? As we indicated earlier, we're installing speed tables, but we must do them responsibly and in accordance to the MUTCD guidelines, where we're doing our best to keep them between 600 feet to 750 feet apart. So that's a part of the engineering analysis that we do prior to installing a speed table. Looking at the citywide speed management study, the 95th percentile data from Urban SDK that was completed in January of this year, this illustration is indicating that 95% of the people are driving at or below the design speed for these streets. These are the areas where neighborhood streets come from for the occasional speeder that can have negative impacts, especially on perception. In other words, if you live on a street and you have 500 people driving down that street every day, if you have 50 people that wind up driving recklessly, at that point in time, 90% of the people are driving down that street in accordance with what they should be doing. This right here is a depiction showing 95% of the people are driving on these streets in a safe manner. So what are we doing about those people that are driving? This is an illustration where it's indicating that 85% of the people are driving at or below the design speed for these streets. Many of us recall recently where a very high profile figure within our city received a ticket. As you can see there on the Lee Bridge, the speed limit is X and people are driving X plus. Why are they driving X plus? Because the visualization of the Lee Bridge enables people to feel as though that they can drive faster. If you've ever been driving on a highway and you feel like you're walking and not barely moving, it's because the visualization is there. So what we've been doing on many of our streets is narrowing that visualization, therefore making the driver feel as though they need to slow down, and it has in fact been working. So our street design is we currently have several projects where our street design are undergoing modifications to change the vantage point of the driver. Looking at the brief history of Richmond and its sidewalks, which is a major component of infrastructure within our city. In 1742, that shaded area was the city of Richmond, just Shockoe Bottom, basically. Looking roughly 100 years later, the city of Richmond started to spread, and so did its sidewalks. Looking at in 1942, the city of Richmond had that pork chop look, and as you can see, the majority of those neighborhoods did in fact have sidewalks. In 1970, Richmond annexed the following areas and neighborhoods that did not have sidewalks. And as you can see, those shaded areas, still many of them do not have sidewalks to this day because they were designed not to have sidewalks. But what we have been doing, as you can see here, in the section in blue, you can see the pork chop, but you can also see many arteries spanning out from the blue area, which is the area that currently has sidewalks. This is an assessment of nearly 800 miles of the 870 plus miles of sidewalks that we do in fact have located throughout the city of Richmond. So we are installing sidewalks, but we're doing it with complete streets and on projects where we can best benefit our citizens and our residents. Those people who have been contacting the city for work to be done, as you can see, the red represents ticket requests, the green represents where we have in fact been doing work. Once again, you can see that pork chop as well as arterials spanning off of it. Looking at how we're going about getting funding, we have over $656 million worth of active projects that are transportation related throughout the city of Richmond. $656 million. And we're getting it from other sources other than geo bonds from the city's CIP. Looking at many of those projects, we have major streetscape construction projects. I'm not going to go one by one because you have it within your package. We have multimodal crossing improvement projects with regards to traffic signalization and things of that nature. And we also have bridge replacement projects and complete street projects located throughout the city of Richmond. These projects are geared towards us receiving large quantity of funds in order to make our transportation network and our transportation infrastructure better. We're currently on the cuspice of having $1.2 billion worth of transportation-related projects coming through our city, with the vast amount of those dollars not coming through us in the way of CIP dollars with regards to geo bonds, but through the hard work of many of our planners, as well as our engineers, as well as our operational units doing work within the public right-of-way. So with regards to Richmond Connects, which is one of our plans, with regards to planning how we work with the citizens, we, as you can see, the top one is the Richmond Connects plan. The bottom one are projects that are either operational and or CIP related, where we've been overlaying those projects over top of our Richmond Connects plan. Another plan has been our neighborhood transportation management plan, which is an engineering plan. So we've been looking at our plans from a combination efforts of operations, from engineering, as well as from the citizens. So if we can continue to hit on all three, we will make our city better and safer. Now I need a cough drop. And at this time, I would like to apologize for going over my 10 minutes, but certainly would like to open up the floor for any questions and or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent, for this comprehensive review. Councilmember Breton.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. I want to say how much I appreciate all of the improvements I'm seeing around the city. I also want to appreciate how well you are evangelizing safe street design around the city to help people understand the engineering work that you're doing and the benefit that it has. So, and I wanted to ask about speed tables. So often everyone, a lot of people want a speed table. I saw there was like a number that get rejected for concerns around emergency vehicles. Can you explain more around the standards or procedure by which emergency vehicles can veto or what goes on there?
Yes, sir. So we work with our fire department in terms of their utilization of our major arterials. So on our major arterials where they have to speed and get to a certain location in a certain period of time in order to save lives, if the speed tables reduce their response time significantly, at that point in time, they work with us on reducing the number of speed tables on that particular arterial.
So it sounds like it's a little bit subjective, but you use their judgment and your judgment together to come up with a reasonable approach to speed tables that affect them.
Yes, sir. And if speed tables aren't available, then we would look at other alternatives such as bump outs and or possibly even a traffic circle or roundabout if funding avails itself.
All right. And I also saw the paving plan. It's exciting to see, people ask, oh, I see my street is on the plan for this year. How possible would it be to lay it out even more granular, like, oh, it's coming in the first quarter, or third quarter, or do we know the level of granularity for when the paving projects come through the year?
For some projects, we do. In the past, sometimes that has backfired on us because of an economic development project or a situation where DPU needs to go in there and close off some gas valves. And so then at that point in time, things get pushed back. And if they get into there and they find additional issues, it can get pushed back even further. So with our paving coordination meeting and our DPU-DPW coordination meeting, we try to hash out as much as possible. So typically what I put on the website is normally going to be done definitely within that fiscal year. Every now and then, it even slips outside of the fiscal year. So we try to go with the media releases to give people more of a time frame on when their paving project is going to come instead of going with the more accurate time.
I was going to ask two more questions, one about speed and one about sidewalks. So I see the great map about the 95 percentile speed, and you're explaining kind of intuitively how I'm sure our residents are going to see this and they're not going to believe it, right? Because they see speeders all day long. Right. Do you have access to if I wanted to ask more specific questions about that data, are you able to generate other types of info with that data about?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll follow up with you on that.
Okay.
And then the sidewalks one was quite remarkable to see that it sounds like we basically annexed a bunch of suburban car-focused neighborhoods, and now they have no sidewalk, and they were originally designed basically not to have sidewalks. And I saw the $200 million estimate. So that's just quite shocking to see that number and to think how we're going to carve out of that. And I actually don't even have a question. It's just a big number. But I wanted to ask actually about sidewalks that exist but are not very well usable at the moment. Tree roots. They're broken, et cetera. Do we have an estimate for the number of miles that aren't green, they're not red, you would call them yellow, of non-ADA usable sidewalks that we do have, and what the budget would be to really make sure we clean those up as well?
Yes, sir. I would say probably about 10%. About 10% of our sidewalks are in need of help. So what we've been doing is we've been hiring companies that come in and actually can shave our sidewalk. They're called Precision Safe Sidewalk. And they're doing about 3,000 locations that are tripping hazards for us a year. And what they do is they shave it so that there's no longer a lip there. In situations where we do have to pull up a sidewalk and trim the tree roots or remove a tree, that can take a little bit more time. But we are doing our best to focus on sidewalks that currently are in existence for our maintenance staff, and not trying to install new sidewalks with our maintenance teams. But we're trying to install new sidewalks with our major CIP projects like the Whole Street project that's coming up, as well as Jenk Road, et cetera.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Councilmember Gibson.
Thank you. And thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
I have similar questions about sidewalks. So in my district, the definitely been lots of improvements in terms of potholes and such. So I thank you for that. I am still hearing from lots of residents regarding sidewalks, and I'm wondering if there is a place where residents can go to find out when or what the time frame is, or when there are certain areas where sidewalk maintenance will be done. And the other thing, and you and I have spoken a bit about this before, are those curb cuts. There are many neighborhoods where the curb cuts, like on ramps so that, when you're crossing the street, it's more.
For the
accessible.
ADA ramps?
Yes, the ADA
Yes, ma'am.
ramps. What is it? How can folks find out timing on the replacement of the older to include the ADA ramps on those corners?
That's a very good question. Right now, the way that the ADA ramps are installed throughout the city, they're installed as a part of the paving program. And so the Federal Highway Administration and VDOT, they administer making certain that localities install ADA ramps because localities have to pave. So localities don't have to install sidewalks. So with them doing it with the paving program, that's how they go about doing it. So we typically just install new ADA ramps when we're going to be paving in a neighborhood. And that doesn't mean that we have to put one on every corner. That means that we have to do our due diligence. Now, with us having over 870 miles of sidewalks throughout the city of Richmond, I think our ADA ramp count is about 11,000 ADA ramps throughout the city. ADA ramps, they change almost every 5 years more frequently than that, with regards to their specifications.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're in the process of trying to make certain that the radius is proper form, the geometric design is proper form, as well as the raised domes are the proper type. So there's really no place at this point in time for people to go to see when we're going to be installing new ADA ramps or exactly where we're going to be doing it, except for the follow along with the paving program. And then that doesn't even mean that we're going to do it exactly where they may have a request. But I do believe people can put in a request for an ADA ramp through 311.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Trammell.
Thank you. Hey, Bobby, thank you for
Good
this
afternoon.
report. This is good. Just got a couple texts about the tree over there on Gordon Avenue. They told me to please ask you about it. It's the one by the playground because
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
going to have an Easter egg hunt. And the president asked me to ask you to please give us an update of what's going to happen because the children, the limbs were falling. I was over there Saturday and yesterday taking pictures of the water fountain and everything. And it's over there at the Oak Grove Playground.
Yes, ma'am.
It's that tree that's right there. Like, I think you and I looked at it when we did the ribbon cutting over there. And the other council person said, the limbs are like the tree roots uprooting the sidewalks.
Okay. The arborist, I sent that information over to the arborist this weekend, and they went out there and they took a look at it, and they have sent me back some information. I just haven't looked at it yet. But once I get that, I will certainly share it with you as well as with the
Okay,
community.
because I spoke to some of the citizens as you come off of Richmond Highway onto Gordon, and they were pointing to the tree, and the big limbs done fell down again from where we had the heavy winds and all.
Mhm.
And they're just scared that because they started walking because it's getting, lighter in the afternoon, staying, lighter. And they said they're just scared because they have to walk out in the street, then they have to worry about the cars going 60 miles an hour, and then the tree limbs trying to fall on them.
Gotcha.
So I told them I would definitely ask you, but
Okay.
you'll get back with me. I know you're coming
Yes.
to the meeting Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'll make sure I have the answer before I get there.
Thank you, Bobby.
You're
Thank
more
you
than
for all
welcome.
that you do. You do an excellent job, and I appreciate you.
Thank
And
you.
all your men and women that work for you. They're wonderful. The city would not survive without them.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I appreciate you.
Mr. Vincent. Okay, Councilmember Lynch.
I had it and then yeah, anyway, sorry about that, Madam President. So first and foremost, I think I heard you say that narrowing the roads
Yes.
is good for traffic calming, which I was just elated to hear. And I know that's been a push for quite a long time. We have all these wide roads and people are going way too fast down those roads because they can't because they're too wide. So love the emphasis on the visual, ratcheting it down and narrowing those roads. For the fifth district, traffic calming speed tables that were submitted, absolutely willing, if we can't do speed tables, to look at other things that we can do. But since that funding is encumbered, just want to make sure that we keep that in the fifth district for traffic calming, just because we have so much need, as you know. I mean, you pointed out several of our streets here on your slide deck, but we can talk offline, but just wanted to make sure I got that in there.
Yes, ma'am.
And the list, I know it would be helpful if there are if you have a list of submissions, just to get kind of assess through that.
Okay. And I can certainly work with you all. I believe there were 41 that were submitted, and 29 were not approved, and 12 were. But that still leaves that funding gap where we can still utilize to put additional measures throughout the fifth.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Madam President. How you doing, Mr. Benson?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Glad to hear it.
Good.
Thank you.
You're more
Thank
than
you.
welcome.
I want to especially thank you for the challenges that we face sometimes that are quite difficult to find a reasonable solution to.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how many times you get a phone call, or whether it's on Friday night at 8:00 p.m. when you're out having dinner with your family, I hope, or Saturday morning or Sunday evening when you probably haven't gotten out of church yet, you always return calls. And you always find a way to resolve those major challenges that we face that leaves us citizens with an appreciation that they're being heard and something is being done. Even if they're not getting exactly what they want, you find a way to get them to a place that they are comfortable with the end results that happen. And I just want to thank you for, regardless what time I give you a call, you return the call, and that your willingness and dedication. And I want to also say to you to share with your total team, because frequently I don't think that your total team gets enough thank yous from us. So please pass that on to them as well.
Will do. Thank you very
so
much.
Again, Mr. Benson, thank you so much for a comprehensive review. And I know that there'll probably be follow-up questions
Yes, ma'am.
to you, but ditto in terms of my council colleague, in terms of your responsiveness, your team's responsiveness, and look forward to all of these efforts are coming to fruition. Thank
1.2
you.
billion, that's a lot of money.
Got you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
Thank
Thank
you. Members, that concludes the list of items on the agenda for the informal session. This meeting now stands adjourned.